Right now on Sports Extra, the Hawks season came to an end in disappointing fashion for the third year in a row. So now what? We've got some ideas. Meanwhile, the Braves continue to be a force in baseball. How they continue to roll despite all the injuries. Plus, we're getting you ready for this week's NFL draft with a draft of our own. I'll tell you something, it's a busy show. I've got home team and Jarvis in the building. Sports Extra starts right now. Yes, sir. Welcome on into Sports Extra, everybody. I'm Reggie Chatman. We should be talking about the Hawks' first-round playoff game tonight, but they would have had to face the juggernaut Celtics again, so maybe losing the play-in was for the best. Let's get right into it and allow me to direct your attention to this. The Hawks fell to the Chicago Bulls in the first round of the play-in tournament by 15 points, and it really didn't seem even that close. They were outshot, they were out-rebounded, and pretty much outplayed the entire night. A summary of their season, plus all the nonstop injuries they dealt with.
Every season does have challenges with injuries. Sometimes the timing of the injuries, not all injuries are created equal. I think we're one of the teams that clearly was impacted, and you never wish that. Hopefully we'll have less injuries next year, but that's part of the growth process of a group too, is kind of accepting that those things are going to happen and choosing to respond to it the right way.
All right, so the Hawks season is over, but Sports Extra never is. Two greats in the house tonight, Jarvis Davis from Locked On and home team Brandon Leak from 680 The Fan. All right, the Hawks cleaned out their lockers on Friday and spoke with reporters for the last time before the offseason. We had plenty to ask these guys, including the most pressing question of what the future looks like for Trae Young. Here's what he had to say about it.
I mean, obviously, I want to be here. I want to be here, but I want to win too. So, obviously, I've said that since I've been here. I want to be here. I want to win championships here and do that. But I want to win. That's pretty much all it is for me. That's my motto, and that's been me from the beginning.
All right, home team, I saw you make a face while you were listening to that. I'm curious, what is your major takeaway from the Hawks' biggest star?
Oh, it's not just over. It's all over.
Oh, man.
It's all over. This incarnation of the Atlanta Hawks is done. And it started before Trae got here when we drafted John Collins 7 years ago. And now 7 years later, you're getting bounced in a play-in tournament game on the road where you're blown out. Now, Trae and a lot of guys were hurt, but that's beside the point. This team doesn't play together. This team is tiny, and this team does not play defense. Doesn't matter who the coach is, who the coach has been, who the GM is, and who the GM has been. It's over. And the question is Trae going to be here? Is he out of here? Is Dejounte going to be here? Is he out of here? Or are they both going to be out of here? Because this has not worked. It's an abject failure, and they need to start over and be honest with the Hawks fans and the city of Atlanta. Look,
you just brought up Dejounte, his sidekick, and it's been up and down season pairing between those two. Here's what his coach Quinn Snyder had to say about Murray's contributions this year.
Coaching Trae and coaching Dejounte, as a coach, anytime you have an opportunity to coach a unique player, a player that is on that level that you really appreciate. And I appreciate coaching them both independently.
All right, Jarvis, the big question that we all want to know, do we run it back with Dejounte or is it time to move on?
Is that a real question?
Yes.
Absolutely not. They should not run this back. Because when you think about this whole dynamic, right, because when this trade was forced through, right, before Travis Slank was forced out, or he stepped down, whatever you want to refer to it as. I say forced out because he did not want to do this trade because it was too rich for his blood. And when you think about 3 first-round picks for Dejounte Murray, and we've seen what he's been able to do when Trae Young has been out, which is solid, but it's not 3 first-round pick worthy type stuff. 3 first-round pick worthy type stuff is what Anthony Edwards was doing in the playoffs in the first round, right, in game 1, right? So those are the type of things that this front office has made as far as decisions they've made. It's been awful. You just don't understand what the vision is for this team. That's what I think about when I think about this team. Landry Fields has a lot of work to do, and it seems like he needs help because they hired an assistant general manager to come in and try to help figure this thing out because it's going to be a very interesting offseason. And granted, to be honest with you, I don't think the Hawks are going to be able to get it right.
The lucky thing for them is they can listen to us. We could tell them all day long what they should do, I think, which is great. By the way, we had Quinn Snyder talk about Dejounte. It's only right we have Dejounte talk about Quinn following his first full season as head coach in Atlanta.
You know, he's a great coach. You know, I love him as a person, a coach. It wasn't fair for him. I feel like, you know, he didn't have a healthy group. And it's just like, I don't know what you expect. You know, when you got guys in and out of lineup and you just having to basically switch your game plan, you know, each and every game or, you know, weeks at a time.
All right, Hawks, 10 games under 500, home team. How much do we blame on injuries and how much do we put on Quinn Snyder because of all the problems they have?
Well, Quinn Snyder said what he wanted to do. He wanted the team to play at a higher pace. They did that. He wanted more threes. They did that. I don't want to hear about injuries. Have you heard of a guy named Joel Embiid? He's the big guy in Philadelphia dragging a leg around. Have you heard of a guy named Jimmy Butler? He's a guy that's banged up in Miami and has had disappointment in the NBA Finals. Everybody gets injured, and so you can't use injury as an excuse. This team did not play defense. They played a little bit better down the stretch when Trae was out, but over the course of the last 6 and 7 years, this team has not gotten themselves a culture to be a defensive team. Now, we saw what Quinn Snyder was able to do when he had Rudy Gobert, but Rudy Gobert's not here, so the question is, moving forward, what would he like to see? He got here, this team was pretty much already assembled. What does he need to be successful, and can he be successful with the main cogs, and who are they? Is it Trae? Is it Jalen Johnson and Bogey? Is it Trae and Jalen and everybody else goes? Is Trae out of here? There are a lot of questions that have to be answered, and I would hope the coach would have some input on that this offseason.
Yeah, scary times for him. Now, if you even have Trae and Dejounte back, it's clear the roster needs some rebuilding outside of them. Here's Coach Quinn on what the offseason could look like for his team.
Obviously, you always want to get better, and that's an area. There's a number of them. You know, I'd be neglectful if I didn't point to other things too. But that's your goal in the offseason, is to look at things critically and dig in and look for ways to improve.
All right, Jarvis, you said very clearly that you should at least move on from one of these guys, but I'm going to give you the hypothetical. Both Trae and Dejounte come back. Is it possible to actually rebuild this team, or do you have to get rid of one of those guys to potentially get something done?
One of those guys have to go. When you think about the 3 first-round picks that you gave up for Dejounte Murray, you got to recoup some assets on that aspect, right? Because you can't just focus in on free agency, because how does that work out as far as free agents coming to Atlanta? You know, specifically the Atlanta Hawks. Like, it just doesn't. You have to have those assets to be able to bring in young talent. You've seen some development in that area with Kobe Bufkin. I like what I've seen from him, but you just gotta determine what the vision is, because when they rolled out, they're starting to line up against the Chicago Bulls of Trae Young, Dejounte Murray, Bogdanovich, DeAndre Hunter at the 4, one of the worst rebounding small forwards in the entirety of the NBA. So yeah, they got a lot of work to do. And then Clint Capella, he's starting to fall off. He's not who he used to be. So it's just so many questions that they have to get filled this year. And like I said, Landry Fields is going to have to figure it out, and I don't trust him.
Really? At all?
At all. I don't.
I think they just need to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, look, we're going to go through some growing pains. This might take 2 or 3 years. Look what the Oklahoma City Thunder did. They were honest. We're starting over. We're going to build through the draft. We're going to take our time and look at them. A few years later, they're the number 1 seed in the Western Conference over there with all of those superstars and firepower. So I think whatever is happening, be honest with the fans and stop trying to put a Band-Aid on a problem that needs major surgery.
I think one of the things that really stood out to me going to that lineup that they went into during the postseason is the fact that people were worried about the fact that Vit Krejci wasn't actually signed to have a full contract. He's a two-way player. He started like 14 games this year, and yet this team is feeling like, man, maybe if we had Vit, maybe we could have got it done. Scary
no hope,
stuff,
man.
You know, the Hawks fans have been loyal, and they have spent their money, and they have shown up during the week and the weekends, and they like Vit Krejci, and they like Trent Forrest, and they like Gary Bird, Garrison Matthews. That's not what this is about. Build towards a championship type team. That is not what exists right now, and they need to do it the right way, whatever that is.
Thankfully for us here in Atlanta, we've got a championship team over in Cobb County. Let's talk about the Braves, who continue to be one of the best teams in baseball. We're breaking down their week, taking down 2 powerhouses in the American League. That's next. Welcome back to Sports Extra, everybody. I'm Reggie Chatman. We've got Jarvis and home team in the building. We've got the Atlanta Braves to talk about, who've been playing fantastic baseball. Back-to-back-to-back series wins against the Marlins, Astros, and the reigning world champion Rangers. This series was a pretty good measuring stick for this team, and really the stretch was as well. Jarvis, I'm curious, what stood out to you the most over this last little stretch where they've won 8 of their last 10?
Well, it has to be Marcell Ozuna, right?
Yeah.
You know, the way he's been tearing the cover off the ball, we talked about it on Locked On Sports Atlanta, and just how the patience that he's showing at the plate and how you can count on him at the plate, because we know last year around this time, everybody was trying to figure out a way to get this man a plane ticket out of here. So when you think about the way he's gotten off to the hot start he's gotten off to this year, you just look at him, you're just like, wow, man, this dude has gone through a lot. And for him to be doing well, you almost kind of feel like, hey, kind of rooting for this guy, man. But yeah, especially with all the injuries they've been dealing with, you got to say, look at Marcell Ozuna and say, hey, man, this is a dude who understands what the issue is right now, and he's feeling that whole continuously, especially when runners are on scoring.
One of the things we'll be talking about on the locker room on 680 tomorrow from 6 to 10 is, should they exercise that option? His option next year, do you wait till the end of the season, or have you seen enough where this guy and his confidence and his production, if you look at going back towards last year, he was doing a lot of the same type of damage. So the question will be, is he not only locked in for this season, but do you wrap up the whole bow with the contract you gave him, extending him for next year?
Yeah, it's crazy how, if you think back to last year around this time, you mentioned it, everybody wanted this guy out of town. He was terrible, and yet he somehow found a way to figure it out last year and this year as well. Now, mind you, if we weren't talking about Marcell Ozuna, we'd be saying Travis d'Arnaud might be the hottest hitter on the entire planet. He hit 3 home runs in Game 1, hit another one in Game 2, got a well-deserved rest day on Sunday, but I mean, can you imagine, like, when you talk about Travis d'Arnaud, home team, what do you think he really brings to this group aside from just being an absolute star at the plate?
Well, he brings a veteran presence, and Sean Murphy getting hurt the first game of the season really put a lot of things into question, and one of them, the legs and the durability of Travis d'Arnaud. But hopefully we'll get good news and Sean Murphy will be back. But now that he's exploded over the weekend, and you're talking about clutch situations and meaningful hits and meaningful home runs, you have to wonder if he will earn him a little bit more playing time and then allow Brian Snitker to allow Sean Murphy to work his way back into the lineup. But this is a guy clearly who has paid dividends already, and that's another win for Alex Anthopoulos, the GM that just keeps on GMing.
Yeah, let's just keep hyping up Alex Anthopoulos, why don't we, man? I mean, Spencer Strider gone. Reynaldo Lopez has been a guy that they brought in who's been an absolute star. 2-0 with the ERA under 1 in 18 innings. The question is he the biggest offseason steal for this group, Jarvis?
Like, pick one.
Right.
When you think, we talk about Alex Anthopoulos. I mentioned earlier about Landry Fields, how I don't trust him. Alex Anthopoulos, I trust him wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
On a Sunday, too, right? As we sit here, you know, and when you think about what he's been able to bring to the table, he always has those certain moves when you're talking about, oh, man, okay, what is he doing? Because I don't know about you all. I was thinking Reynaldo Lopez was going to be a guy that can come in and solidify the bullpen, because he understands the importance of having those guys, multiple arms in there as the season can get really long and you can start wearing those guys out. But for him to come in and they stretched him out in spring training and do what he's doing right now, you're talking about, oh man, this is just, I'm amazed at what Alex Anthopoulos is able to do year in and year out. He's just consistent with it, man.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, one of the more consistent players on this Braves roster, even though the fact he's not playing right now, Ozzie Albies, who has a broken toe. He increased his activity this week as he tries to get back. And home team, my question to you is, do you rush him back, or do you just kind of feel good about what you have right now, make sure he gets totally healthy before he makes this run?
You let him soak it. You let him rub it. You let him stick it in a bottle of Bayer or aspirin, whatever he needs. He takes all the time he needs to get his toe healthy. What you're getting is support from the guys that are off the bench. Luis Guilherme has done a really good job of coming in and being solid, and we've seen the guys who are not your starters be able to be productive. And so I don't think there's any need to rush anything. This team has already shown you they're scoring runs late in games, which is a good trait when you're talking about what you want to see at the end of the season, and everybody seems like they're taking a turn. One time it's Marcell Ozuna, then it's Travis d'Arnaud, ago. Then it's been Michael Harris II. So this team is Trump.
Yeah,
this team is loaded with guys who can take their turn helping the team win.
Look, I mean, if Ozzy wants to, you could spend that extra time golfing or something. I mean,
well, we want him back.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
it'd be great to see him come
around.
back and make the All-Star team, but don't rush him back.
All right, let's talk about some golf, why don't we? Wrapping up quickly, the final round of the RBC Heritage Final Round at Hilton Head, South Carolina. A week out since picking up his second green jacket, Scottie Scheffler continues playing some of the best golf ever here on the par 5 second. Scheffler chips in for eagle to extend his lead, but then all that rain we had here this morning made its way to Hilton Head. Play was suspended. They did resume, but we'll have to finish it out on Monday. All right, coming up, get your draft boards ready. We're getting you set for this week's NFL draft with a little mock draft of our own. It's going to be so much fun. That's next. Welcome back to Sports Extra and welcome to the inaugural 11 Alive NFL Draft. And guys, I've got no proof that this is the first one, and I've got even less idea whether our picks are going to be correct, but home team Jarvis and myself are going to take you through the first 10 picks and give you our thoughts, starting with number 1.
With the first pick in the 11 Alive NFL Mock Draft, Reggie Chatman and the Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams, quarterback, USC.
I'll tell you guys, I'm happy to get the first pick because it was the easiest. Caleb Williams to the Bears has been the pick since his historic 2022 season, and when they shipped Justin Fields out of there. 30 touchdowns and 5 interceptions last season. I don't care about all the extra stuff with the nail polish and the pink phone. The only issue I have with him is that the Bears mess up every quarterback they have, and I hope they don't do it again this time.
With the second pick in the 11 Alive NFL Mock Draft, Jarvis Davis and the Washington Commanders select Jaden Daniels, quarterback, LSU.
Listen, guys, this is the right pick for this team because I know a lot of people was trying to get on the Drake May bandwagon, but this guy, Jay Daniels, is the real deal. He ran an NFL-style offense, having 2 receivers over 1,000 yards, and both of those guys may be drafted in the first round as well. 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. I really love what Jay Daniels brings to the table. And if you're talking about a guy that you want that has experience, that got progressively better throughout his college career, that's exactly the right pick for them.
With the third pick in the 11 Alive NFL Mock Draft, home team and the New England Patriots select Drake May, quarterback, North Carolina.
He's going to a place where they're going to build a defense. He doesn't have the weapons right now, but he can make all the throws. He's mobile enough. He's got quarterback jaw, so he looks the part. He can move, he can throw, and he's strong. The question will be, is he special like he was at North Carolina, or is he just a quarterback who has to be taken third?
With the fourth pick in the 11 Alive NFL Mock Draft, Reggie Chatman and the Arizona Cardinals select Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver, Ohio State.
Maserati Marv. Man, they say he's getting picked because of his name, but how are Frank Gore and Jerry Rice's sons doing? I mean, 1,200 yards, 14 touchdowns a year ago. I'm a big LSU guy, so I think Malik Neighbors might have been the better choice, but if you're telling me that you're picking this guy right here, you'll be just fine. He's thought of as a generational pick.
With the fifth pick in the 11 Alive NFL Mock Draft, Jarvis Davis and the Los Angeles Chargers select Malik Neighbors, wide receiver, LSU.
You talk about a wide receiver that is 1,500 yards, 14 touchdowns, super productive, with an average over 17 yards per catch. So you understand what the big play ability is there. And when you talking about what you actually need in today's game in NFL, Malik Neighbors is the guy.
With the sixth pick in the 11 Alive NFL Mock Draft, home team and the New York Giants select J.J. McCarthy, quarterback, Michigan.
This guy should be very thankful of the media because he has gone from the second round to first round money in 2 months just after he got out of his last game winning a title. Look, the kid made enough plays to win in college. Is this hype or is there something to it? All of these scouts don't waste their time and don't waste their energy. And if somebody takes him, it should be the Giants who want to do over at quarterback. And J.J. McCarthy can make throws down the field. Will he be able to do it at the next level? We'll have to find out and wait and see.
With the seventh pick in the 11 Alive NFL Mock Draft, Reggie Chatman and the Tennessee Titans select Rome Odunze, wide receiver, Washington.
6'3", big body, big hands. The Titans have Will Levis under center, need to get him some help, and he's really the best at the board at the position at that point. 13 touchdowns a year ago, helped lead a team to the Natty. I do take points off because at the comment he said he couldn't land a plane if he needed to, which is just wrong, but I do like how good he is on the field.
With the 8th pick in the 11 Alive NFL mock draft, Jarvis Davis and the Atlanta Falcons select Laiatu Leitu, defensive line, UCLA.
The Atlanta Falcons are getting the best pass rusher in this draft. When you're talking about Laiatu Latu, he's talking about bringing a repertoire to the table. This guy has a plan on 3rd and long, and I promise you, he's the guy that is going to come in day one and be productive.
With the 9th pick in the 11 Alive NFL mock draft, Reggie Chatman and the Chicago Bears select Dallas Turner, linebacker, Alabama.
Jarvis, thank you for giving me, man, because Dallas Turner should have been the pick for the Falcons. I'm not picking that kid from UCLA. I mean, you see how well things went for the Texans last year when they selected their quarterback and the best edge rusher in the draft. I mean, it could be a big pick for Chicago.
With the 10th pick in the 11 Alive NFL mock draft, home team and the New York Jets select Brock Bowers, tight end, Georgia.
Aaron Rodgers is coming back. He has Garrett Wilson to catch it, Breece Hall to run it. Who's the tight end? They don't have that guy until they take the guy who was unstoppable at the University of Georgia. So they will select the guy who will be Brock Bowers, a top 10 pick at tight end.
That was a lot of fun, guys. Thank you guys so much for that.
Can I go back to the podium and have the Falcons make a deal or something?
Yeah.
Can we get Dallas Turner?
No,
Yeah,
man.
Latu
is going to be the best pass rushing guy in this draft. Promise you.
Bad.
Hands down. You
Bad.
can book it right
What
now.
about Jared Verse?
Look, guys.
I love Jared versus Will.
We just know you were wrong. You know who was right, though? By the way, Megan Smedley, our producer,
I'm
shout out
never
to
wrong.
you on the microphone right there.
It's a lineman. I'm never wrong.
All right, coming up, we wrap things up with our video of the week featuring Atlanta's newest star, Kirk Go. All right, so our video of the week, Kirk Cousins has been on an Atlanta World Tour at both United and Braves games.
No more tour. Throw a touchdown first. I'm tired of seeing Kirk's face. I want to see it with a helmet on, throwing a touchdown.
He's hammering it just like he's going to hammer the Saints defense and hammer us a touchdown to Kyle Pitts.
Thanks, guys. See you guys next week.